Uplift, Conversations with Visionaries, is an inspiring interview series showcasing the journeys of successful entrepreneurs who not only excel in their fields, but also use their success as a force for positive change. Welcome back to another episode of Uplift, Conversations with Visionaries. I have another amazing visionary with us today. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Alicia. I'm excited for this conversation.
These are amazing conversations because we showcase individuals like yourself who have achieved quite a bit of success in business, who maybe started from humble beginnings or had some hard knocks along the way, but you have risen up, you're creating incredible things, and you're paying it forward because of the success that you've created for yourself. I'd love to start by highlighting one of your greatest accomplishments, something that you are most proud of up to this point in your business.
I love this question because in some ways I feel like I'm just getting started, there's so much more to come. But if I had to pick one accomplishment, I would probably pick, especially in the entrepreneurial sense, is that I've worked with over 1,000 clients at this point. It's creeping closer to two. And that to me, I couldn't even imagined that when I was first getting started in my business. Like at that point, I remember when I signed my first client, like that was amazing to have somebody say yes to me, say yes to themselves, and to actually see the bigger ripple that has happened since. Because to me, that is what the biggest ROI really is, like the ripple of impact of people actually getting in the arena, getting the support, seeing that ripple out into the bigger collective field and world. So to me, it represents a lot of lives impacted, but also indirectly many more than that as well.
I love that. For somebody who is just getting started or who feels like it's been slow going to get some momentum in their business, there can be those very insidious limiting beliefs that they don't have what it takes, or other people are just somehow better than them. They're more favorable to God or the universe or whatever. We have all sorts of really dysfunctional beliefs. But one of the things that I really want to communicate with any aspiring or even an established entrepreneur who feels like there's got to be more. I know that I have something to give. I know that I am valuable. I know that there is more meaning in this life for me. I like to shed light on the fact that for most successful business owners, it wasn't just a quick ascent up the ladder of success. And we didn't all come from nice, cozy, comfy, nurturing upbringings that had us wired for success from the get-go. So that's a perfect segue to ask you about one of your lowest points in life.
Yeah, I mean, let me be honest, there are many, so it's it's really hard to pick a core one, but I think one of the most impactful low points on my journey was really early. It was basically 10 years ago, which is crazy. But I just was leaving an abusive relationship. I was in that for 7 years. I was in massive debt. That relationship ended in a restraining order. And, I really didn't know who I was. And I was this fledgling new entrepreneur where my gateway drug was network marketing, which led into coaching and, onwards and upwards with a lot of in-betweens along the way. But at that point, it was a low, but also a high, if that makes sense, because I was completely starting over from like identity, finances, life situation, all the things. And I didn't come from a super nurturing, loving, supportive household. So I didn't have that backing per se at that point. Yet there was also something within me that knew I would just keep going no matter what it took. Like if something lit, something turned on inside of me that I knew I would keep going on this path of not only personal spiritual development, but business and financial development as well. Like I didn't really give myself a plan B, so to speak. So that was a low, but also kind of a catalyst for so many more things to come.
That word has been used before. In fact, I actually have a program that I've had for over a decade. It's an introductory program, and I call it a catalyst program because this phenomenon is really, it's such a critical piece of our evolutionary journey as individuals as well as entrepreneurs. It's that breakdown before the breakthrough. It's the shit hits the fan, but it turns your life around in an unexpected way. And so, for anyone who may be going through that right now, even though you can't see how this is going to be a blessing, just know on some level of your being that this is going to be one of those moments in time where you look back at some point in the future when you are living a better quality of life, when you're achieving some of your heartfelt desires, and you'll be able to say to yourself, to others, that was a blessing in disguise. So now
100%.
I want to segue once more, and I want to ask you how you are giving back now that you are on that upward trajectory in your life and in your business. What are you doing to help lift others up?
Mm. The word that comes to mind for me is community, because sure, there's lots of projects and initiatives and things I'm involved in, but I really feel like the overarching thread to it all is community, whether it's in my free communities where, even if nobody ever invests in me or pays me a cent, I feel like I show up and cultivate community because as someone who was bullied a lot, who had a lot of sister wounds, I know that as women on this journey, we can often feel really alone. And I really don't feel like we're meant to do life alone. I don't feel like we're meant to do the entrepreneurial path alone. And sure, we can do it to a point, but I feel like for anything for longevity, sustainability, something that's actually fulfilling when we have relationships and connections, specifically, I feel like with other women, not that it's limited to that, but when we have that friendship energy, it really means everything. And I feel like gives it so much more purpose for women in business. So that's really my core way I would say of giving back is cultivating free spaces, accessible spaces for women to come in, to plug in, to be lifted up, to get resources and information where money doesn't have to be the barrier. It's like I think our biggest barrier is typically our own mindset, our own receptiveness, how open our heart is. And so I really feel like for women, if they can work on that, business is easy. It's going to be unstoppable for them, but we have to kind of soften a little bit in the process, even if we have wounding and trauma and bad experiences, which I think, let's be real, I think we all do to some level. But if we can choose a different path for ourselves, a different identity, I feel like then we can be in it for the long haul in terms of business and success.
I love that. And I think that your energy and what you're sharing and what you're doing is so valuable and it's so needed. And there are so many people who really they can grow so much more with that type of community. It's not, it's interesting because so many people think if I don't have the money to invest, I'm less than. I can't get what I need. But the interesting fact is that some of the most successful entrepreneurs were utilizing the free stuff when they didn't have the resources, and they grew into these multimillionaire entrepreneurs. It's everything you need is available to you. And I love that you're providing that to individuals, that stepping stone to get to those next levels where they can begin investing in themselves in whatever ways are right for their growth and their expansion. I want to thank you so much, Jenna, for being with us and sharing your incredible energy. I hope that this has been inspirational to those listening. And I'm going to have Jenna's contact information in the show notes. So make sure that you reach out to her, check out what she's doing. She's an incredible human being, truly a visionary entrepreneur. Thank you all for joining in for this episode of Uplift. And until next time, we will see you in another episode.
Thanks so much for having me.